Welcome to the programme. When it comes to gambling, Australians are world champions. It's estimated there are almost 200,000 gaming machines in casinos, pubs and clubs across the country. Almost half of those machines are in New South Wales. The state's Crime Commission says much of the money wagered on those machines is actually the proceeds of crime and is calling for the introduction of a cashless gambling card to stamp it out. It's a debate resonating across the country, as Hannah Bowers reports.
Across the country, billions of dollars flow through pubs and clubs, largely generated by poker machines that can operate up to 21 hours a day.
It's a uniquely Australian problem, and mainly because the gambling industry has really captured governments in this country in various ways.
Australia is home to less than 0.5% of the global population, but has 18% of the world's poker machines.
Crown Casino has been hit with a record $120 million fine.
Another major Australian casino is losing its shine. This time it's the Star.
A series of devastating inquiries into criminal money laundering at the high end of the gaming industry has resulted in licence suspensions for Crown and Star casinos, as well as massive fines.
The findings of a damning inquiry into the gaming giant have been described as shocking.
Now the spotlight is turning to suburban pubs and clubs.
99,000 poker machines are licensed in New South Wales. 87,000 are currently in operation. There's no reason to think that any part of the state this isn't happening to some degree.
Last month, the New South Wales Crime Commission found the proceeds of crime made up a significant amount of the state's $95 billion annual poker machine turnover.
Receiving the proceeds of crime is an offence that can be punishable by 15 years jail, depending on the circumstances. The clubs can't keep receiving this money without putting themselves at some risk.
While Clubs New South Wales disputes the Crime Commission's figures and says the issue isn't isolated to gaming venues, the Commission has recommended the introduction of a cashless gaming card to help tackle the problem.
Drug dealing, as you'd appreciate, is a cash-based economy, and poker machine gambling currently is a cash-based transaction. So the two have found each other. We need to break that nexus. We need to get the cash out of the clubs.
Money laundering isn't the only problem associated with gaming machines. Australians are the world's biggest gambling losers, almost $1,500 per adult each year.
Everything that you can think of has been designed specifically to overwhelm our human vulnerabilities, and it's the perfect machine for addiction, and they know it.
Kate Sezelja lost hundreds of thousands of dollars to the pokies over 15 years. The Canberra mum of 6 now advocates for reform of the industry and would welcome a cashless system with protections.
This is a moment, and I think the community are there. I think they are going to support the decision makers to stand up to this industry that has just been running the show.
Gambling generates demonstrable social harm, but ephemeral community benefit.
While the New South Wales Coalition Government is running a voluntary trial of cashless gambling cards in Newcastle, it's yet to commit to a statewide mandatory scheme. Pokies provide more than $2 billion a year to the government's coffers.
As Treasurer, I always found it difficult when we went through the budget to see the revenue that came through with poker machines. In essence, we're taxing on the misery of others.
While the Premier says he wants to tackle the issue, he governs with the support of the Nationals, who are sceptical a cashless card would work, while the powerful pub and club industry is opposed to the idea.
I can confirm that the government will be bringing to the Parliament legislation to address problem gambling.
When Labor Prime Minister Julia Gillard tried to put restrictions on the amount gamblers could wager a decade ago, her government was forced to back down after a blistering campaign by the pub and club lobby.
This licence to play the pokies the feds are talking about, that's a bit of a worry.
Clubs New South Wales told 730 while it supports measures to limit problem gambling, it believes a mandatory card is unnecessary and people should be able to use cash in gaming machines.
The industry wants to make out that there's some sort of totalitarian imposition. What it is for the first time allowing people an effective tool to manage their gambling and prevent them from sliding into a very harmful addiction.
The Tasmanian government is the first state to announce it will implement a mandatory cashless card with betting limits by the end of 2024. The New South Wales Crime Commissioner insists a mandatory scheme is the only way to stamp out money laundering.
Criminals commit offences, particularly organised criminals, they commit offences to make a profit. If you take the money away or if you prevent them spending the money, you remove the major impetus for their offending.
We really need to make sure we address it and have a gambling industry which is actually sustainable, a gambling industry that does not rely on the proceeds of crime and does not rely on exploiting vulnerable people.
730 sought comment from the Hotels Association, but is yet to receive a response.